I own the original, which is the press board prior to them actually really running the prints. And then I have a 1920 deck that is the color version.
Oh, okay.
But back to you and your style of divination. Now, you read Lenormand's, and you also have a book out, and you create your own decks now as well.
Yes, exactly. So I have a book that is officially coming out on the 28th of April, but I know that some people who had pre-ordered the book are receiving them right now. Okay. And the book really takes, people from a complete, beginner or just starting with Lenormand to be a proficient and, good reader of the Lenormand and the Grand Tableau. I have, developed a technique that I called the 8 keys to unlock the Grand Tableau.
Okay.
And it's not my creation, I will say. It's not my concept, because we read Lenormand the traditional way, even if I tend to modernize a little bit my Lenormand because, it's an old deck, antique deck. And when it was created, it was fashioned for the time before,
Right.
And now you can't apply all the meanings that were traditional in our modern life. For instance, the ship could mean your car or a mode of transportation, you see? And we don't have any, how do you call it? For the rider, you don't have messengers that came to your house and give you a letter. It's most of the postmen. It's most of the delivery people. So we try to, we are in the same, core meaning, but just a little bit, modernized.
Now, what's the name of your book so that our audience, if they want to look for it, they know what to look for?
So the name of my book is The Art of Lenormand Reading, simply that. And it's like, let me tell you the number of page. It's like a 200 pages, of really, practical, meanings and ways to work with the card and to get, clear answers and not being, because people tend to complicate Lenormand and then they feel that, it's not for them and they will not be able to read this system. But I can tell you that, everyone can do it.
Yes.
But you need to keep your tarot skills or over method of divination out of the way. When you do Lenormand, you do only Lenormand.
Yeah. We see it all the time with people that go from a tarot background into the Lenormand, and they try to carry over their intuitive and their other skills from tarot without really understanding that there's a particular set of language skills, creating a sentence and forming that sentence from card to card to card, and how the cards influence whether they're next to each other or above or below, depending on, whether you're looking at what we call over here the Grand Tableau, or whether you're doing a line of 5 cards or you're doing a small box of 9. It's a whole different language. It would be like me learning how to speak French, because I have to throw out everything I know about the English language to be able to understand, the verbs, the nouns, the placement of different words, how words change, whether they're masculine or feminine. So if people come to the Lenormand and they start fresh with the understanding that you can't use the other skill that you have from tarot because we're not looking at it the same way. We're learning a completely new language.
Yeah. Something I want to add here is that, Lenormand cannot be read intuitively. I will just explain that. You need to learn all, the meanings. For instance, we will take the writer. It's, messages. It's someone coming forward. It can be a man. It can be the postman. You know all these definition, and then your intuition will help you pick the right one.
Correct.
But if you don't learn the meaning beforehand, your intuition will not be able to help you pick the right one. So you can't, it's not like tarot that you will look at the imagery, what the King of Cups is doing, what he wears, and what direction he's looking at, Lenormand, when you have the fox, even if it's a black fox or, a white fox, or it's like pictured in a snowy background, it's always about lies, and treachery or a work card.
Correct.
And we don't interpret the colors or how he look like or what he's eating, or is him, near a tree or, in the hen house. It doesn't affect the meaning. We just, focus on the central image and we apply the meaning directly.
That is correct. And, I look at that a lot, and there's a lot of beautiful decks.
Yeah.
But I do feel that some of them kind of get lost because people are about, the imagery. They're about everything that surrounds it rather than the focus on here's what you want to look at. This is really all you need is just the bear or, just a mountain.
Yes.
The ring for commitment and unity, it's one of those things that, the background, the colors, they're all designed to catch our eye.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But what worked well is, a Lenormand deck that is close to, the early ones, which is, a clear background, big and bold symbol. You don't want to see a small ring in a box. We just want to see a beautiful ring just, in front of our eyes. And we don't care if it's a gold ring or a silver ring or a diamond ring. We just want a ring, know. Of course, we want something beautiful to look at, but sometimes, artists tend to make it busy, a busy card, and we can't recognize what is primer or what is not.
I'll agree with that. I've actually seen a couple of decks where you can't tell whether or not the card is, say, a bird or a ring.
Yeah.
Because the bird's got a ring in the mouth.
Exactly. So, and sometimes, you can't distinguish which is the fox and which is the dog because they are quite looking similar.
I'll agree with that 100%. Now, when it comes to timing, I've always had an issue with timing in Lenormands. I just can't grasp how to look at or what cards I would look at to try and figure out for timing, because sometimes you don't always get a card that I feel would give you a definitive answer as to timing, especially if you're doing, say, a 5-card spread.
Mm-hmm. How you will work. So first thing I want to say is your deck of cards is your best friend. It's a magical tool. It's the extension of your intuition. And you need to make some agreement with your deck, and whatever you ask it to do, it will do. Okay? For instance, if I agree with my cards that my Fox card is my main job card, in all my readings, it will stay the same. And for timing, same thing. Okay? If you tell the deck what you would like beforehand, It will show it to you. For instance, when I do a grand tableau, I will fix my time before, I do the readings. I will say this grand tableau will cover from now to 6 months, and I want to see everything, and it will show it to me. But when it comes to small spread, things get a little bit complicated because we don't know where to look at.
Correct.
Which card will tell us month, which card will tell us day. So what we're going to do, I will, tell people listening to the show to get, some writing material, or they can listen back to the show on the archive. And I'm going to chart the whole deck so that you can use it with timing, and I explain how to use it. Okay?
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So, we will remove from the deck, of course, when we do timing, the men and the woman card. They represent people, but they don't have any meaning of their own,
Right.
So let's start with the cards that represent day and night. So I'm going to put these in categories so you can follow along and understand how the cards, work and how their core meaning can be used in timing. Okay? So day and night, for the day card, we have two cards that I use mainly. It's the sun, which is obvious, and the fish. Okay? So why fish? Because fishermen on my island, they go fishing very early in the morning. So this is a card that will represent day for me.
Okay.
Okay? And the two cards that will represent night will be the stars and the moon. Again, it's obvious.
Right.
Okay? So then we move to the category that is for the seasons, And we start with spring. For spring, we have the bouquet because we all know that, in spring, the flowers are blossoming and it smells, amazingly good. And we also have the stork because they came back from their migration.
Oh, okay.
And the third card that will represent spring will be the clover. And it will be also my card for the month of March because we have St. Patrick in March. Okay? So then we move to summer. Summer, of course, it's the sun. And you will see that, one card can, be in different categories. And then later on, when we go through the categories, I will explain how to use them and know, is it summer, is it a daytime, or is it night, is it winter? Okay?
Okay.
So we have sun, and then we have the heart, and the heart will represent the month of February because it's Valentine's Day, For the autumn, I will use the clouds. It's the gray, and it's when all the leaves are falling down. So the clouds. And winter, we are going to use the lilies. Something I want to say here when we use the seasons, for instance, for me, I live in the southern hemisphere. Spring will be in the month of November. Okay? And summer will be in the month of December, like now.
Okay.
So you must agree before doing the reading which time frame you will use. If, for instance, I read for my client who live in France, I will, do like spring is now and winter is in December. If I will read for my South African people, I will shift, the seasons because it's to coordinate with my meanings and with my cards. So you need to put that, in your head that when you're doing readings, it would depend also on where the people you're reading for lives.
Okay.
So then we move to the slow cards. Okay. It's the cards that are lengthy timing. So again, here we need to understand the core meaning and the property or quality of a card. so that we can figure out how it can relate to time. And, the Lenormand uses a metaphoric language, and you need also to keep